How's it going, guys? Jeff Glover and Wilson Hayes here. So we have a situation where Wilson Hayes is going to try to enter into deep half guard in order to get underneath Jeff Glover. Jeff Glover is kind of looking for a knee slice here to a certain degree, or just to kind of open up the legs of Wilson Hayes so he can start passing. Jeff Glover's foot is, or knee is kind of through, which kind of implies the knee slice, but his arm is not really doing anything that would allow him to knee slice right at the moment. If he wanted to, he would either have to obtain the underhook on this arm, or he would have to obtain the overhook, which would give him an analogous form of pressure on Wilson Hayes, which the overhook he would need to kind of throw his arm into that pocket right there. In order to be able to do a knee cut that would end him out into a front headlock. Now, it's not wrong to go to front headlock, and it's not wrong to go to side control. It's just a matter of which grip that you have determines which place you're going to go. So if you have an overhook, you're going to go to front headlock, and if you have an underhook, then you're going to go to side control. One small exception to that rule is that if you have an overhook and somebody is kind of lazy and doesn't want to come up with their underhook, you might end up still getting side control if they just stay on their back the whole time. But that's not a particularly common thing, especially with the lightweight divisions where people are very scrambly. So from here, we're going to take a look at how this deep half guard entry happens. He gets up on his elbow, rolls underneath. Now, he didn't really do a big roll under, which is kind of typical of a deep half guard entry, where when you're up on your elbow and you swing underneath, you want to get as far underneath as possible initially because you can get that momentum boost. He doesn't really get very far under, but he does get a really good strong grip on the leg of Jeff Glover, that left leg. And this next kind of few frames just shows how strong Wilson Hayes is, because he just rips Jeff Glover over the top of him. And then Jeff is going to have to make a transition here. So Jeff is going to take a look back. You can see where Jeff's eyes are going. He's kind of looking down here this way because he's going to look for this underhook. He needs that underhook right there. He's already taken his leg from this spot right here and swung it over the head of Wilson Hayes, and now he's going to continue swinging it this way as he sinks his hips down, right? And those motions there are all going to create a situation where Jeff basically slides off of Wilson Hayes in this direction, at the same time collecting an underhook here around the head in order to, or an underhook here around the arm, so he can kind of control the head position and stuff like that. So from here, we're going to see Jeff Glover take a slide over, get a hold of that underhook, and then now Wilson Hayes doesn't want the underhook, so he turns into Jeff Glover, and then here it kind of looks almost like this kind of modified short arm Darce / Anaconda. It's not really either of those things, but it's a very interesting little headlock position. It's just mostly for control, and he's trying to get pinch. And of course, Jeff Glover's arms are very long, so he's going to be grabbing the forearm here instead of gable gripping his hands together. And that's just to cinch up some of the space, right? Because if he was grabbing hand to hand, you would see his elbow extend way out there and then his arm come back here, and there would just be too much space involved. So instead, he grabs his forearm in order to kind of lock up that grip tighter. And that's just Jeff being crafty and good with his grips. And then from here, Wilson Hayes turns up to his towards his knees, right? And then we're going to have a scramble from here. He's going to throw himself back to the ground, and then from here you can see how this hand right here is going to attempt to just push Jeff Glover over this way, because he tried to create a wall that Jeff Glover would push into, then collapse the wall, and then continue rolling through to get Jeff to basically overcommit with pressure and then roll him over, right? So now Jeff has an option. He has to take this arm out and post on the ground in order to prevent this roll from happening, or he's got to come up with something fancy. So from here, he does that post, right? And if we go back just a little bit, we can see this post happen one more time. Post with this arm, you can see that the left arm is now posted out on the floor. And then now we're going to see him kind of shift his hips so that he can stabilize. And we'll slow the track down just slightly so that it makes it a little bit easier to see. Stabilizes his hips, pushes on the head, and then from now he's almost getting his back taken to a certain degree, and he's going to, instead of continue turning this direction, which would almost certainly get his back taken, he's going to reverse course and turn to his right, which is a great decision because it allows him to stay on top and not get his back taken. Switches his hips, boom, and then up on top. So fantastic scramble there, and a really good decision to reverse position, because if you have somebody that's kind of clinging to your right hip, you don't want to continue turning to your left because they're always going to remain behind you. If they're clinging to your right hip, you need to turn to the right in order to prevent the back take.